Hi, this is Wendy Ann with just a quick tip on how to cast off loosely for a summer shawl pattern that makes use of large size needles. These are the terrific Addy Turbos that I really enjoy working with because they have such a nice smooth surface and a flexible cord, as I've mentioned in some of the other videos. But back to this, how we cast off loosely. As you could see, I am making a mesh pattern. This is simple garter stitch, but I'm using large needles with a smaller strand of yarn in comparison to the needle size. So it gives this nice result of an airy, open fabric that's very stretchy. So you see we have a lot of extra space here because I knit fairly loosely, and to cast off so that the edge does not tighten up in comparison to this nice loose stretchiness, you want to make sure that the yarn on the right hand needle is held by your index finger when you pull that stitch through. And you see how we still have that nice bit of space in between. So now I'm holding on to the new yarn so that it doesn't get pulled as I take that stitch on the right hand needle and pass it over. Now if I let go now, this stitch will end up being tight. So I'm going to move my finger and put it back on the top to pull that off the needle. And I'll knit the next stitch. Sometimes just doing it will explain better. I'm wrapping it around loosely. I'm keeping very loose tension. I take the stitch and pass it over. It's kind of I'm a little clunky here watching this from above as I do my knitting. Just leave it loose. So the key is the yarn that is feeding the new stitches, you want to make sure the tension is loose. And it's really almost, in this case, for this particular pattern and mesh stitching, it's almost ridiculously loose. And I'll show you that in a moment as I continue this. This is my last stitch. I'm passing it over. And it's all been very loose. Now, what I'll do next is cut that off. Leave myself a nice bit of length to weave in, which, how I finish this is I'm going to pull that yarn through my cut end, and this final stitch will obviously be tighter. It goes right into a knot. And look at all this extra yarn that's on some of these stitches, but it will even out. Some are very loose and some are not. Here's where I held it a little bit tighter. Here's where I had it very loose. But once I wash this, especially with this type of mesh, this is a cotton acrylic blend. I'm doing a summer shawl here. The stitching is really loose throughout the whole pattern. And it's going to tighten up as I work with it and do my final finishing. And I don't mind that this edge has a few tighter stitches and a few looser, because overall it's nice and loose in comparison to how it could be if it was tight, and it matches the stretchiness of the rest of this. And these stitches end up evening out quite a bit as the piece settles in, and especially after it gets blocked. So there's another tip from Wendy Ann at Water Knit. Thank you for watching.